first panel, Milblogs, past, present, and future. I'm going to turn it over to moderator Buzz Patterson. Online moderator is Ray Locke and Bud Gazette. Participants, and raise your hand when I call your name if you're here. CJ from Soldiers Perspective. Thank you, CJ. I always say it wrong. I want to call him Lieutenant Smash. He sends me neat emails and says it's Lieutenant Commander Smash. Steve from ThreatsWatch. Matt from Blackfive. John from Op4. Okay, guys, take it away.
Good morning. I'm Buzz Patterson. I've written a couple books. I'm an Air Force guy, not a blogger, consumer. When Andy called me to ask me to come to this, I got the same thing with Austin got. There's no money, it was pushing it ever now. And I also have a wife that says it's no more prestigious, so that the cause is there. That's why I'm here. I will tell you, I've written as a retired Air Force pilot. I retired in 2001. I've written two best-selling books, Air Lessons Duty, about my time at President Bill Clinton. Wasn't very complimentary with him. He was in the New York Times book for 6 months. I guess people weren't too highly enamored with it either. And Reckless Disregard that came out this past year, actually 2004, at the time for the Fury defeat, November 2004, thankfully. I will tell you that as an author, I do a radio talk show now as well. I couldn't live without military bloggers. Bloggers in general, but mostly about bloggers in perspective, in particular. Yeah, there is, I think, in this country right now, an effort, unfortunately, on behalf of many Americans to see us lose the war in Iraq. And I think that's, in my mind, seditious, if not treasonous. You have a fifth column of mainstream media folks, liberal politicians, peace organizations, academic professors who are tenured to 90% liberal or left of liberal, and you have pop culture in Hollywood who continues to think that we think that they hear what they say, and they continue to talk about it. But that's the big problem right now on the subject. And I tell you, researching my new book, which will be out in July, entitled War Crimes, the less campaign to lose the war on terror. I could not have written it without these guys. And I'll tell you, it started with Blackfive probably, then went to Smash, then I started broadening my blogger expertise as a consumer. I also want to introduce Dad Manley out here, Jeff Meeting, who without him, my book would not have come together. So thank you for the privilege to be here. What I'd like to do, we're a little bit behind, I know very hot back there, probably talking bad about me, but what I'd like to do is have each of the bloggers one by one give you about 5 to 7 minutes of who they are, what they do, how they got into blogging, what it means to them, and then we'll start addressing the specific issues of Milbloggers, past, present, and future. See you.
Hello, good morning. I'm CJ, the owner of the Soldiers Perspective. I started my blog, it feels like a lifetime ago, mainly initially as kind of a therapy. When I got back from Iraq, it was very difficult to talk to anybody really about the experiences that had happened in Iraq. And it's, my father was in the military, his father was in the military, and I remember growing up reading my grandfather's journal on World War II, and he used to be a belly gunner in one of those P-38 aircraft that not many belly gunners survived. So reading his journal was, as just a kid of 8 years old, and older, was very interesting to me, and the fact that he sat and talked about his experiences. And things, whenever I would ask him about it, he wouldn't talk about it. And I never really understood why. After coming back from Iraq, I kind of realized it's difficult to talk with people about experiences that really, you almost have to be there to kind of use a phrase like that. About a year and a half or so after getting back from Iraq, I finally realized that I can't keep all this stuff bottled in. I was pretty frustrated about the fact that everything that I had seen in Iraq, and I mean, back up just a second. I was with the 300 Division during the invasion of Iraq, with the unit that went into Baghdad for the 2 Thunder runs, and then the not reported first invasion of Fallujah that we did. And what kind of got me really started about it was when tensions in Fallujah started rising up again. Everything that people were saying about Iraq, it just that wasn't my experience. Even in a place like Fallujah, where it's supposedly a cesspool of terrorism, every day I was invited to dinner and lunch, and I sat with Iraqis in their own homes and met with them on the streets and played with their kids and things like that. And that's not what you were hearing in the news. So it was kind of a two-pronged effort when I started the Source Perspective. One was to talk to somebody while not really talking to anybody, and two, to get out the true story of what we're doing in Iraq with the successes that haven't been talked about. And so that's kind of the background and why I did it, and kind of more, I think my therapy's over with. I feel like a person again, and so it kind of just became kind of news, commenting on the slants that the media would put on things, and I would provide that other slant and try and show people the other side of the story. And it's kind of amazing sometimes the differences in the two.
Thanks, CJ. The next blogger was probably the first blogger I came across a few years ago, quite a few years ago. He's an old man now. He's probably updates the rest of us here. LT Smash, Citizen Smash, Lieutenant Commander Smash, otherwise I'm Scott. Whatever you want to call me.
Morning, my name is Scott, and I'm a Milblogger. I started blogging in the summer of 2002 with some light humor and political commentary after a few weeks I was host. What happened after that, I'm a weekend warrior, Navy Reservist. And in late November, early December 2002, I learned that it was highly likely that my unit was going to be mobilized and sent somewhere in the Middle East. Which left me with a difficult decision. I was blogging as a civilian, Indepundit.com, under my own name at the time, and I wanted to keep doing it. I was addicted, still am. I consider it a healthy addiction, but some people might argue that. What I decided to do was to shut down my political blog and start a new kind of blog, one that I hadn't really seen before, an anonymous blog of military persons going overseas. And I had to have that. So one night I was watching The Simpsons with Paul and Matt Groening, and I stole my pen name LP Smash from an unscrupulous Navy recruiter, which I thought was kind of self-deprecating. Most people didn't get it. I was being egotistical, but whatever. My first entry as LP Smash was, I believe, on December 8, 2002, when I got the word that we were definitely going to be mobilized. A few weeks later, right after Christmas 2002, I arrived, left for Kuwait, arrived on New Year's Eve 2002, and a couple days later, my unit set up port security in the port of Shueva, which is the deep water port, where all the equipment is being loaded. I immediately ran into a roadblock as a Milblog. The first roadblock I ran into, complete lack of internet access. Nothing. I was stationed at Camp Arifjan for the month of January at the time. Camp Arifjan right now is a pretty developed camp. People live in barracks, etc. At the time, we were living in warehouses and tents. There were thousands of us, and I think there was one room that had internet access, but you had to have your own computer, your wires, and your card, and they shut that down about 2 days after I got there. So I was a Milblogger without internet access. I was the first Indian Milblogger that I knew of, and couldn't post it. Finally, late January, I was able to get to Camp Doha, which is the big established camp near Kuwait City, and I posted some updates. After, I posted about 3 or 4 things when I was being mobilized, and then I disappeared. And then late January, I posted some updates. And what I did, I sent, and all my emails, to my parents and my wife and my friends. I sent 2 emails out. One was to someone named Meryl York, who I'm sure a lot of the bloggers know, is a woman in Richmond who has helped a lot of Milblogs out since then. She already knew that I was doing this. And I said, Meryl, my blog is up. Here it is. I'm going to try to post regularly from now on. And the other one was a guy, I think, was mentioned earlier, named Glenn Reynolds. I sent it to him under my own name, and I just said, hey, Glenn, check out this blog. I didn't tell him it was me. I got back to my camp, and later we moved there was a camp established at the floor where I was looking at first favor called Camp Spirit. It no longer exists. It was only there for about 2 years. And we were able to get regular internet access there, and I started posting regularly. I also was able to call home every once in a while, between, the base camp in Kuwait. I had that luxury, unlike a lot of people who were in combat later. And I received an order from my father, who was a retired flag officer. And he said, son, you have to post every day. My mother is reading this, and if you don't post, she works. Yes, sir. I'll do that when I can, because sometimes I can't make it, because I understand busy, I understand you're working 12-hour or 15-hour shifts sometimes. Post every day. A few weeks later, the word started getting out, and that prefaces by saying that I was posting this thing on a computer in the basement of if you guys know Kevin, a primary main objective, his brother was hosting on his computer in the basement. We were getting a few hundred, maybe 1,000 a day. It was bigger than I expected it to be, but not that big. In one day, it got an installation. It became a Yahoo pick of the day. It was mentioned on CNN, MSNBC, BBC, and I think it was Tom Sullivan was filling in for Rush Limbaugh and listed on his radio program. 200,000 hits. Server went down. That was almost the end of LP Smash. We moved it to an industrial server and was able to stay up. We had to take down comments because comments got flooded and hacked. And for a while I was the Milblog. There was nobody else was really doing what I was doing. I never expected anything like that. I really honestly didn't. I was getting so many emails that it would take, we're using a satellite hookup that we bought commercially. It would take about half an hour to download my emails, hundreds of emails a day. I didn't have time to read them all. I was busy. I didn't have time to respond, so if you sent me an email, I didn't respond. I thought it was nothing personal. And it was surreal because nobody in my unit knew that I was doing it. I didn't ask for permission because there were no rules. I had to make up my own rules. Some people call it the Greyhawk rule, falsely attributed. I'm sorry, Greyhawk. I call it the Smash rule. And that is, there were no rules at the time for what to do with weblogs, because nobody heard of them in the military. So I took the rules that were applied to email and OPSEC and kind of amplified them and made my own rule. And that was, before I posted anything, I was going to consider 3 people were reading it. My mother, my commanding officer, and Osama bin Laden. And if I felt like it was safe for all 3 of them to read it, and no harm would come to me, or I wouldn't be embarrassed or get in trouble, it was okay to take posts, and there were several things I did post. I might be able to talk about some of them later, but what happened after that, about midway through my deployment, after the war started, it got out that I was doing this, and there was an investigation I found out later. Someone in my unit figured out who I was and reported my chain of command, my commanding officer. And, he never mentioned it. I found out that he had done this, but I never mentioned it to me until the day that he was chain of command, a year after we got back. And he called me into his office and said, Scott, hey, I want to tell you that I really enjoyed reading the blog. There was an investigation, I found out that I had to read every entry that you made, and you never once violated OPSEC. And the way I achieved that was I changed everybody's name. I never mentioned my unit, where we were, what our mission was. So it was really a vague weblog. But that also contributed, I think, to success, because what that did was it made me kind of a generic military personality. I mean, everybody thought I was a Marine. I was a Navy officer, I swear. They thought LT was like a junior, second lieutenant versus when I was Navy, was like Army captain. And they thought it was in Iraq, and I was awake most of the time. I went to Iraq for a couple hours. One that I would say was 8 months in boredom, punctuality 5 minutes a day. And that was in a very, very narrow range from the start of the war in late March until about April 1st. Because that was the only time we were within the missile window of the steps. And 2 of them did come from not steps, but whatever they were prior to the time. All the deal was with 2 seconds.
Oh, the amazing thing about Smash too is he's been so successful. He's so humble and inarticulate and.
I think I'm being cut off. Anyway,
what a shot.
Sure. I just want to say that I never expected it to get this big, and I'm really humbled and a little bit proud at the same time of what the Milblog community has become. It's branched out in a way that I never anticipated. And I mean, in a way, you're all you bloggers are blog children or godchildren or something. Just consider me a proud father, and you don't recognize me. The photo on my blog, it's kind of like this. That was taken the first week of the war when I heard missile alert, and after 12 hours of duty, and I got back to my tent. I was about to go to sleep, and the alarm came off, and I grabbed my camera, ran to the bunker, handed it to the guy across the sleep. That's the story of that photo. That's my own.
Is it nothing you're going to pay for our college? We can call you dad.
Your granddaughter needs money for college.
Another early, I think, trailblazer in the blogging community, and again, one of the first folks I stumbled across, and it became better reading for me, not only money, but why I finished that 2004, was Matt at Blackfive. And Matt and I had sort of history together. We've been on TV together for satellite hookups and talked a lot. We've never actually met until this morning, which is kind of a big treat. Matt and Blackfive.
Morning. Well, Blackfive was started almost 3 years ago. A friend of mine was leading a convoy in Iraq on Memorial Day, and they were ambushed, and we fought his way out of the ambush when he was killed. His name's Matt Schramm. And it turned out that there was a reporter from Newsweek that was along with the convoy. And a couple weeks later, I was talking with my friends about Matt, and this information came up. And, I'm not as eloquent as Scott. I'm just going to say Newsweek really pissed me off. He didn't write a story about my friend. He saved a reporter's life, saved the entire convoy, was the only one who was killed. And nobody heard about it. Nobody knew his name. So I started Blackfive. And called a big buddy of mine who's a sergeant major in Fort Lewis. And he said, dude, what's the maximum effective range of a blog? I was like, I don't know. I'll let you know in a couple of years. He's got a blog. So, but anyway, so that was the beginning. And I have a lot of still friends that are in the military that were sending me emails that were basically contradicting everything I was reading. And there are good journalists out there, but and there are good newspapers and magazines out there, but we don't get to see the majority of those. And so I was getting emails and letters home, pictures that just contradicted everything I saw. And so I started putting that information up. And I thought a long time ago that if I had 300 hits a day, that would be a success. And that's all I wanted to do. I didn't think it would come like Scott. I had no idea that things would change this rapidly. I know people think in terms of blog years, 3 years is a long time. But it does feel that way sometimes, but in reality it's not. And so you have to ask yourself what's the maximum effective range of a blog. And I think we're still finding out. And there's still things that are coming about. So Blackfive was sort of a contribution from everybody that was fighting the war, and I was just the guy that put it up online. So, in reality, it was people that are sitting out here that sent me the information that did all the work that put it up. So.
I noticed if you're not a favorite blogger or log on to the Blackfive site, you've got to check out his people you should know segments, which are outstanding. Next to Matt is John, who used to be known as the Officers Club, and now is off board recently. His site's pretty slick.
Hi, thank you. Before I get started, I just wanted to go ahead and point out my blog partner, Charlie Moon, right here. Charlie, stand over there, please. I almost wish he was my place. He was smarter than the other two of us. You're way down there. Charlie and I started the Officers Club. It really happened on accident. We wrote together on the VMI that newspaper. We were at the Mill Transit together. We were out there. And we really enjoyed writing. We really enjoyed talking about as like grand strategy, foreign policy, where the Army was going, where the military was going, and where it has been. The newspaper group that we had was a very tight clique, more so than an already tight military, typical military organization where you get a certain degree of bonding. We started the blogs at the same time we started. And it was just guys, peer sportsmen, nothing important, but Charlie would come at us with these long diatribes on how our land is affecting community stability and military. So I finally emailed him and I said, Charlie, you know what, let's just make this official, and we'll continue what you're talking about and I'll join you. And maybe some people will pick us up and move us along the way, and we both have things to say. So the Officers Club was born. We brought in a Navy guy, so we could say we had a triumvirate Air Force, Army, and Navy. We're going to find any Marines who know, right? So.
It was going to start sometime.
It wasn't the friend of Brian class. I was blogging from LAX, blogging without Brian O'Brien. Thank you guys. So we started off, we had a submariner, but the poor guy was underwater all the time, so he couldn't really blog with us. Because when we finally got ashore, we're probably on the last time my mom wanted to get his feet on land and not worry about the computer. So Charlie and I took it off, and we were real fortunate in the beginning in two respects. First is that my squadron commander caught on to it early and gave me some good guidance that kept me out of trouble. And two, we didn't have a long period of blogging pain where we were looking at what we had to talk about today. And we really owe it to you guys for that. I don't think we're anything special, but some people sure did think we were, and we owe it to the Milbloggers and to the greater bloggers here. We're very fortunate. Very appreciative of you guys. We started out about a weekend. We got a link from Stephen Green, who you guys probably know was Indepundit. From there, we got a link from the National Review. And this is a funny story. Ramesh Potter, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Somebody sent him our blog, and he linked it up on the corner. And I put my Air Force email, not thinking. Well, somebody in my base JAG office caught wind of it, sent it to my squadron commander, and I remember they all came out of their staff meeting in the morning, and my flight commander looked at me and said, Noonan, squadron commander wants to talk to you. It's about your blog. I said, oh, hell. God bless him. He was great. He said, look, you're not doing anything wrong. This is becoming increasingly accepted in the world. Just be careful. And I've used two guiding principles from then on out. The first is, I guess, smash rule. I always thought it was a very hot rule. Your mom was Osama bin Laden and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs. That is the best guidance you'll ever get. The second came from Colonel Bay and was relayed through, I read it on Matt's website. it's kind of vague that I just looked at Matt when they were meeting the previous engagement and said, you know, Matt, I just want to win. And that's really stuck with me in every post that I do. I think about the war in Iraq, I think about the war in Iraq, and I realize that we have enemies here, really domestic enemies as well as enemies abroad, people who, like Colonel Patterson said, want us to lose. Anything I can do, anything Charlie can do, anything Milblogs can do to level that playing field and win at home, I think we're doing a great service. So those are two things I keep in mind with just about every blog post. So we had the Officers Club. We started in October of 2005, about 6 months ago. By December, we had a couple offers to pull us off the blog platform. We chose military.com as the no-brainer. They've been great. They moved us on to Upwork. I'm glad you like it, Buzz. We designed the Secondary Studios who did that. I think she did a great job. I'm so excited that I get to blog on there every day. It's such a nice change from the Officers Club. I thought they did a pretty piss poor job designing the Blackfive address, so it's nice to have but that's our very short history. We hope you have a longer one, and we sure do appreciate it, all of this. Everyone who do software, everyone who do software, anything we can do to make your experience a little more enjoyable.
Thanks, John. And finally, ThreatsWatch.
I've got like, what, 30 seconds or something? Steve Shippard, and I am the jarhead of the bunch. John ghostwrites for me while I'm learning how to read. Because I'm talking about what's every once in a while with the hair out. I started blogging really quite accidentally. I have a big mouth, I would shut up, and when I'm not talking, I'm writing. I'm sorry, I'm dictating. I was reading a blog before I knew I was reading a blog for, I would say, probably, I was one of the lounge lizards at the Belmont Club, right about the start of the war. And it was just fascinating conversation that I didn't find anywhere else. And some of my comments were so good. I knew what I was talking about most of the time. And a couple of people had commented to me, you should really get your own blog. A couple of them meant, so you can write over there, and a couple of them were so you can shut up over here. And so I started a blog. What really got me blogging to actually write my first real post was politics. Although I'm a Milblogger now, it was really politics. It was just out of disgust for John Kerry. I'm sorry, I'm pulling a bunch of them. I could not fathom someone of that character as the commander-in-chief being elected while we were in the time of war. And what I did was write I just emailed friends, and I would end up getting emails back, from people I never knew. How did this get over there? It just got forwarded from person to person. And so I started writing, and stuff that was dying on my hard drive, I just started throwing up on my blog. It was a horrible mix. It was called The Word Unheard. It was a blog spot early on, and I was cutting my teeth. I was trying to learn when to shut up and when to actually write. I was still learning that. We all are. And what happened was, I ran into this fella named Greyhawk who had this thing called a Milblog ring, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Let me go read over there. And I really didn't consider myself a Milblogger. I wasn't in the theater. I wasn't even in the service anymore. I've been out since '93. And I started going and reading the Milbloggers and their accounts of what they're going through over in theater. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, what a contrast to what you're reading every day if you go to Newsweek, God bless them, or Time, or pick a paper's website, watch a channel on television. And there was such a vast difference that it was starting to really get me angry.
And I come from a military background, and I'm not going to lose anything. I'm not going to lose it this time, Andy. I come from a military background. My grandfather was a Pearl Harbor survivor. I have more uncles that are Vietnam veterans than I have aunts. My father was a Vietnam veteran, and it just seemed my favorite. What they achieved in Vietnam was just whitewashing. When I did a little bit of scrounging, I figured out the whole time growing up, my understanding of the Tepezit was that we really got it handed to us. I mean, there was just too many of them. We just couldn't take it. And it turns out, doing a little bit of reading, we got them pretty good. But that wasn't what I heard from one. Well, I didn't hear it, you know. But that isn't what I understood, what people understood, because what dictated how people understood Vietnam was Walter Cronkite reporting to Ted Benson, and it's just bad news, and we're losing, and we got to get out of here. And it was you look back at history, and you look at how the media caused the entire country to trade in history for the people. Because they didn't. What Milblogging means to me, and I'm not really, I'm only a Milblogger because I'm a veteran. I sit up here on this panel, I'm like, oh boy, among men. Who knows who I am and who really cares? But read mass people you should know. Well, I think that's probably one of the treasures of the entire internet. And what gets me is, why do we need to go to some place called Blackfive to find about it for the person sometimes only finds out some other Milblogger links?
Here.
Right? Yeah. So Greg Hawking invited me to join the Milblog thing. I don't know, I'm not in the military. I just read them. Oh, you're a veteran, and that's fine. Okay. And next thing you know, it was almost like a camaraderie thing for me. I'd been out in the Marine Corps since 1993. It was at the time, like 2004, 5, 2004, I started blogging. Okay. And I didn't really realize how much I missed the military camaraderie. When I was in the military, I had left the military. I was gone. I was completely out of the area. Transplanted from Arizona, Southern California, got married, and my wife moved me to New Jersey and Spain. And I'm so far removed from anything military in northern New Jersey. Milblogging kind of brought me back to a sense of the camaraderie, kind of like what I felt last night at Trent Howard was awesome. But anyway, what that transpired, and I just cannot, I don't think people look at the media the same way they did maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. I think it's changing, and I think it's because the speed of information is changing, and it's outpacing the media, who are resistant like everyone is resistant to change. I'm resistant to change. And what we've got is a media mechanism that is slower than the information, and we're outpacing them. And where Milblogs, I think, come in as important is one key thing is that what happened with Walter Cronkite dictating a story about the Tepezit to an entire nation can never, ever, ever happen again. Not ever. Because of Milblogger. It can happen. Someone can stand up and say it because you watch it a lot, but it will not go unchallenged. And you find people in the military are probably more educated than most people would expect. Most people, are busy watching the news and figuring out what's in the military. People in the military, you've got some sergeants out there, some buff sergeants and staff NCOs that are as degreed as the officers who command them. We're not a bunch of illiterate fools. We're not a bunch of knuckle-dragging jarheads who only play them on TV. But I'm just proud to be able to, as a veteran Milblogger, not a military theater Milblogger, or even have been in the theater Milblogger, I walk behind the surface of the people that sit up here. I walk behind them, just like any other American walks behind them. I stand on their shoulders when I can, and I'm thankful for what they do and what they provide in the view on what our military is actually achieving out in the field, be it in Iraq, Afghanistan, or anywhere else that we may not even know about yet, that it'll never happen again like it happened with the Tepezit.
Thanks, Steve. I think that's a great point.